Kirk Cousins is 35 years old and will be 36 years old when the next NFL season starts. And he just signed with the Atlanta Falcons for $100 million in guaranteed money. It's going to be $90 million over the first 2 seasons and then $100 million guaranteed and then upwards of $180 million if the full contract is paid out over the 4 years that the deal is signed with the Atlanta Falcons. It doesn't make a lot of sense to give a man who's coming off of a torn Achilles tendon all of that money, but it does make sense for the Atlanta Falcons to do it and give him that money, and I'll explain why this is actually a perfect deal for the Falcons, and I think it's going to work out pretty well for them because they tried it the other way. And Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, is old. He is very old. He's 81 years old, and it's been enough time. He's trying to win now, and there's no time for the future. So if you tried over the last 2 years giving Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ridder, and Taylor Heineke $8.75 million, like I said, over the last 2 years, to be your quarterback, why not go the opposite direction and get a guy who you know can put up numbers, can put up the counting stats, and try it that way? Because the other option, they did that. They did that in Atlanta for years now, and it hasn't worked out. Go out, spend the cap money that you have this offseason, which they did, spend it on the quarterback position that you haven't been able to solve for years. So that's why it makes sense. Kirk Cousins is going to put up the numbers. Like, I have faith that what he has done in Minnesota will continue in Atlanta. These numbers are from The Athletic. In 6 seasons in Minnesota, he was tied for 3rd in NFL in passing touchdowns, 6th in passer rating, 11th in expected points added per attempt, 13 in passing yards per game, 17 in yards per attempt, according to True Media. Last October, he was leading the NFL in passing yards per game before his season ended after 8 games because of the Achilles injury. Obviously, that Achilles injury will be something to worry about. We don't know how the 36-year-old at the start of the season will bounce back from a torn Achilles. That is a complete unknown, but that is the risk you take. And the contract doesn't seem so damning when you look at the situation on how the numbers break down. After 2 seasons, when they pay out the $100 million to Kirk Cousins, there's a way to just get rid of this thing. If they can get out from under it, and those 2 seasons, you figure it out. You see if Kirk Cousins still has what he started in Minnesota. And what he was in Minnesota was a quarterback who could not win playoff games. That is completely fact. He could not win playoff games in Minnesota. It did not happen. But the process was correct for Kirk Cousins. All of the stats during the regular season, they were a good team, and he put up the counting numbers. So if you're Atlanta, like I said, you tried the young quarterback thing. You bring in the vets to try something new. You hope that the young offensive weapons that you have in Kyle Pitts and Drake London and Bijan Robinson will only elevate their game now that they have a vet supporting them at quarterback. And I think the main key in this whole thing is Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator. He worked under Sean McVay. Sean McVay, I think, runs, if not the best, one of the best offenses in football with the Los Angeles Rams. That offense is spectacular, and everybody should be emulating it at this point. They're going to run that for Kirk Cousins in Atlanta. This thing's going to open up. He's going to be able to put up the same numbers he has in Minnesota. If they can tie some of this regular season success that Kirk Cousins has had, continue it, turn that into some playoff success, win a couple of games, it could be a very successful few years in Atlanta. And I think this is the last contract Kirk Cousins is going to sign. He's not going to be in the league past these 4 years. If you're trying to win, eventually you got to take some risks. And this is a risk, but it's a very calculated risk that makes a lot of sense. Because if it's broken and it's not working as it was in Atlanta, why not try and fix it by doing the complete opposite? I think on the outside, it looks like a risky play, but all you need is a couple of good years out of Kirk Cousins, put up a lot of counting numbers during the regular season, get back to the playoffs in Atlanta, win a playoff game or 2, and everything's gravy. I think it's a good deal. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. We're trying to close in on 2,000 subscribers. If you like this video, hit subscribe on the channel. Like the video if you liked it as well. I'll be back very soon. NFL free agency has been crazy. Joe Mixon just got cut by the Bengals. It's been a whirlwind of a 24 hours. We're going to keep talking about it here and churn out some more NFL free agency content.